opening the door and, 100 zombies turn and look at you, you're just like, holy crap.
Yeah, it was that weekend was just insane. Um First of all, the fact that you have 100 people show up
Yeah.
is I mean, if you count the cast, the main cast and the crew, there was 120 people here. We got lucky that the church that's back behind the house across the street, I went and talked to the pastor and I said, hey, we're shooting this thing, do you mind if we use your parking lot? It's going to be on the majority of it was going to be on Saturday. And he goes, yeah, Saturday is fine. He says, obviously Sunday we have church, but if it's after 12, then you guys can park in the parking lot after 12. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And so Saturday their parking lot was filled. I mean, but
did you tell him it was a zombie film?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cool. He knew. And I even invited him, and I think a couple of the people from the church actually came over and got made up. So yeah, it was really rough for me because I literally felt really, really bad that, that's why I told her, look, your mom passed away. We gotta, I can cancel this whole thing and just move it to the next weekend. And she's just like, no, you guys have put too much work into this. She goes, I'll be fine. Just keep people out of the house. And I think the only thing that they came in the house for was to go to the bathroom. And that was, didn't have the funds to rent a porta potty. So
100 and something people, going to the bathroom.
Well, not too many of them did, though. I mean, there was only a handful. I think a lot of them were the kids that were Mom, I gotta go pee. And so, but that was something else. Now, something else that I was curious about, when people start walking off, I mean, I don't know how much you've experienced this, Ty, but I've experienced it more than once. When people start walking off and people start quitting and people don't get that, you don't shoot for a couple hours and then go drink beer and eat pizza for 5 hours. What is it? What kind of, what do you experience when that kind of stuff starts happening? That obviously I know what I'm going through, but I'm just curious of what your thought process is on when that kind of shit starts happening.
Again, it's a don't mess with my husband kind of an attitude. I mean, I get very defensive when anybody, doesn't treat you with the respect that you deserve. And so I just, fortunately, the two times that you've had people walk out on set, I have not been there. So I was grateful for that, because I'm just like, I don't know how I would have handled it had I been there. But it's one of those things that it's a don't mess with my husband and his plan or his passion, and it makes me angry. But the few times that we've had that happen, I haven't been on set, fortunately, probably. Just because
honestly, fortunately for them, you hadn't been there, you weren't there. Because I mean, I know how I dealt with it, and it was basically, okay, bye. If that's how you want to play it, then be gone with you. And So, and then we just go shoot. And that's, so yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of one of those things we usually don't talk about it. I tell her what happened, so.
And then I seethe and get mad, and but you've already handled it by the time you tell me about it. So that's usually pretty good plan. There's only been one time where I've had to kick you in the butt and say, yeah, you're not walking out of this set. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was, yeah. Yeah. And everybody audience out there is going, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So,
yeah,
and you don't have to name names.
Yeah, I was on the more recent of the sets, the You Like to Draw set, and it was the first film that we actually put quite a bit of our own money and invested our own money in it, upwards to about $15,000 that we invested into the film. And I'm a banker, so that my mind runs to money and budgets and how we're going to do all of that. And there was an incident that happened on set, and Todd got very, very angry at one of the actors, and he was ready to pull the plug on the entire shoot and be done with the film and just not do it. And he called me, and he was just incredibly angry and was, this is just, I'm done. I'm going to pull the plug, and everybody's packing up and we're going home. And, and again, that was the most money that we had spent collectively of our own to make this film. And I proceeded to tell him exactly what I thought of that plan. And
not an option.
It was not an option. Absolutely not. And so, he saw my point really quickly because I told him he didn't have a choice, and he set aside his anger, and they made it through, and everything worked out fine in the end. But you can't quit when you're in the middle of something.
Yeah, fortunately, I haven't had to experience people walking out on my sets, but I have been on sets where I was helping out, where I saw it happen. And I think it made me aware that it can happen, which is why I've been working sort of always extra hard to make sure that it doesn't on my sets. Me personally, shutting things down and that would never happen because I don't have someone like you, Angie, sort of, kicking me in the butt and smacking me upside the head. I have to do it myself, to myself, So it's like I always remind myself, it's not an option, If I got a production up and running to the point that we're already shooting, there is no way I'm shutting it down. I will find a way to make it happen. It doesn't matter how angry or whatever. I just take, I take 10 minutes or half an hour or whatever and go and talk it out and yell if I need to, generally with a producer or something. And then, I calm down and I go, okay, let's do this thing and get right back into it because really there's no choice.
Well, and
we never give up.
Yeah, we've made really good friends in this industry, that in this group of friends that we have, the actors and producers, and they've really helped on our sets. There's some key players in the films that we've done over the past 6 or 7 years, and they all have my phone number too, because I don't always show up on set. I'm not always there. And, they've got my number, and they'll be like, hey, something's going on with Todd. He's really, upset. Or they'll text me, hey, we maybe need you to come down, or, Todd's upset and is, or he's not feeling well and he won't listen to any of us. And,
Oh yeah,
all the shoot.
you might want to tell that story.
It was a video, um, another series that we kind of started doing, but that never really went anywhere. It was called Jeremesis, and lots of things happened on that set. But one of them was Todd developed tendonitis, which is where you get like ear ringing and your equilibrium starts crazy and you get real dizzy and then you get nauseous and
Then you
it
get
becomes
vertigo.
yeah, you get vertigo, which everything, the world spins. It's like you've been on a merry-go-round and you're super, super dizzy. Well, this happened while he was on set and I wasn't there. And all of a sudden, like the cast started, texting me and, have you talked to Todd? He's not doing well. He's really dizzy and we're real worried and he can't hardly stand up. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And so I get Todd's youngest daughter, Brianne, over and we go down to where they're filming and he is just, he can't stand up. He can't, he's just, so when I walked onto the set, he was throwing up and he was trying to finish the scene and
And we had a
I
lot
took
of
one look
people
at
down
him.
there. We had a lot of people there. I mean, we had makeup artists. I mean, there was probably 25 people there, including the cast, with the cast and the crew and extras.
Again, it was, yeah, and it was winter, it was cold, and
And it was at night.
I called, yeah, and it was at night. It was about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and they still had quite a few scenes left to shoot, but he was throwing up so badly, and I was like, nope, that's it. Let's wrap it up, everybody. And I'm not kidding you. Within 20 minutes, the car was packed, everything was cleared, set was done. And, we were driving home and, pulling over on the side of the road. And so he could throw up outside the door. It was a mess. But, again, we have really amazing set crew that works with us. And, we would be lost without some of them. I mean, John Reiner and Nick Ham and there's just so many of them. I can't name them all. Billy,
Billy Elliott, and Sean Murphy.
Billy Murphy, all of these, these characters that have been involved in our filming for the last, 7 or 8 years. They're just amazing group of people. And when we got back to the house that night, John and Billy, I think they helped drag him in and put him in bed because he literally, there's no way. I mean, he's 6 foot tall and, over 300 pounds. There's no way that I can carry him to bed. So, they got him in bed and he threw up all night. That was a lot of fun. But, it was great that we have such a tight crew and, true friends that definitely, support us and support Todd in his dream, even though, I mean, it's some of them, it's not their dream in any way, shape or form, but they love Todd and they know that it's his passion. So, they're there every time Todd needs them. So, which is pretty awesome.
Basically, Todd, you're a lucky bastard.
I am.
He is pretty damn lucky.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Most
of us don't have that kind of support network, I guess, and it's rough without it, But talking about that whole, illness, which is basically like an inner ear infection kind of thing, right?
Yeah, well, I guess there's there are these crystals that are attached to the inside of your ear canal, the hairs on your ear, and they come loose. And then they start moving around and that creates this whole spinning issue. And
yeah, I've had it before. Luckily, before I started in filmmaking.
Yeah.
I remember everything was spinning so hard I couldn't walk. I had to crawl to the phone this was a landline, shows you how long ago that was. But I remember I crawled to the phone because I just couldn't walk to the phone. And it took me a while to dial, and I called my dad to come pick me up and take me to the doctor because I just, couldn't do it myself.
Mhm.
By the time my dad came around to my place, I managed to kind of, get up and get into the car with him. And I remember it was rough, throwing up, and it's just the vertigo that makes you throw up. It's, it's a scary thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I had never had it before, so I wasn't even sure what the problem was. I mean, when we were out in the middle of the street shooting this one scene where this guy was supposed to hit this other guy with a truck. And so we were out there, and I was working on the when it first kicked in, I had the camera on a dolly let me see. Yeah, we had the camera dolly out, and we're in the middle of a conversation, and all of a sudden the world starts spinning, and I grabbed a hold of the dolly track, and I quickly took the camera. The camera is attached to the dolly, and I picked the camera dolly up, and I spun, and I just said, John Briner was standing right next to me. And I said, John, take this camera. I'm going down. And he goes, what do you mean? And dropped down on my knees on the ground, and everybody just starts freaking, holy shit, what's going on? Blah, blah. And I said, just give me a minute. And so it took me a couple of minutes, and then John and Sean both, were very, you know what, dude, come on, man. I know we got a lot to do, but let's just be done. I'm like, oh, fuck that. We got too much to do. And, again, we had so many people. And so I was just very, it took me a second. And then all of a sudden it was like it never happened. Everything was fine and everything was good. And we finished that up, and we moved over to shoot another scene, and we were setting up, and I sat down, and it started happening again. And that's, I kind of got really just started getting sick to my stomach and everything. And then everybody was like, look, man, we can try doing this again tomorrow or whatnot. And I was like, no, bullshit. We're going to get this done. And that's when the text messages started. That's when I think John and Sean both were like, and everybody calls Angie. The one thing that's kind of cool is everybody calls her Mama Angie. So don't piss off Mama Angie, or Mama Angie, we need to this, and Mama Angie, we need this, and blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, it was, that was a hell of a night, man. That was a hell of a night. And
all of a sudden you just look up and you go, oh, you're here. And I'm like, oh, okay.
You didn't realize you had that effect on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I hadn't thrown up yet at that point. I kept feeling like I was going to. And then one of the makeup artists lit a cigarette. And just as Angie came up, or actually she had already come up, and I was looking, oh, you're here. And then I got a whiff of that cigarette smell. And that just, anything I had that day for dinner was just gone. And it was, for those of you who get grossed out by that stuff, I'm sorry. But, yeah, and it was, and then it just didn't stop, it just didn't stop. Yeah. I mean, all the way, we were driving home, and all the way home kept stopping, pull over. And my poor daughter, Brienne, she had just gotten her license.
I felt that because she had just gotten her license, but I had had a couple of drinks. So I couldn't drive because I had had a couple of drinks and I wasn't going to dare risk, driving while I had a little bit too much to drink. So Brianne was driving and she's like, "This is so cool." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Dad is drunk in the back seat. That's really funny." Yeah, 2000.
That is funny. But yeah, the thing is with that, the nausea, the vertigo, and all that. There's nothing you can do to stop it. You just got to ride it out, and that's the rough part. You don't know how long it's going to go for.
Well, there's actually we got online and I found some videos that actually show you how to click things back into place. It's like these stretches and stuff, and I wound up doing some of those, and I haven't had it. It's been a long time since I've had it. And then I also found out that taking vitamin D helps it as well. It keeps,
Right.
that seems to be, that's my friend, John Draper in California. He and his wife, Kim, do a lot of, vitamin therapy stuff and that. And so he just said, "Dude, take vitamin D every single day." And he says that'll keep it from happening again. And it's worked so far. So,
I was just thinking about that. It's like, I didn't even have like internet that, accessible at the time. I don't think there were smartphones yet. I'm like, oh my God, this was almost 30 years ago.
wow.
Yeah, and I remember it was brought on like by a sneeze, or I blew my nose or something like that, and all of a sudden everything just started going nuts. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? So that was a lot of fun.
Sorry about that. There was a bug on my camera.
Smack the camera.
Well, it was right on the edge. It was kind of like when we had that spider that one day. That one time we were shooting.
I remember that.
So honey, can you talk about what your favorite shoot has been and why?
Oh,
Boy,
I hated all of them.
I honestly think that Chip has been my favorite now, only because we had Aiden there. Rhonda was there. I really liked the crew on that. Sean was there. It was a good crew. It was a good team. So I think that was probably one of my favorites. I liked parts of You Like to Draw. And I don't always go to all of the shoots. Usually I'm either working or, I've got other things that I'm doing. And I'm cooking most of the time as well. So I don't always go to the shoots, but I felt like I was involved with the Chip a lot more than I have been on some of the other ones. And I really liked that shoot. It was clean. It was fun. Being able to watch the dynamics between father and son, that was kind of cool to be able to see that, and the passion and the different viewpoints that Jaden has. He's as ever been as much as passionate about things as Todd is, and it's crazy because Todd didn't. I mean, Jaden wasn't around Todd a lot when he was younger, and so it's amazing how the apple, just even though Todd wasn't there a lot when he was growing up, it's amazing how the apple still didn't fall very far from the tree, and that passion was instilled in him regardless of Todd being that father that was there the whole time. We would come out for vacation and things like that, but with Todd living in Colorado and Jaden in California, obviously there was some disconnect there, but it was neat to see how much he is so much like his father. And when you compare the two, it's hysterical to watch the two of them together because they are so much alike.
And they're working
Especially,
together more and more now, so that's cool.
yeah, and especially for not seeing, Jaden not seeing Todd as much as, if Todd lived in California, but it's pretty neat to see that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that just had to do with, when we did spend time together, during the summer, that it was spent doing this kind of stuff. It was spent doing video work. It was spent making little short films. And, so a lot of that filtered over, even though he says he started with photography, he had already had the taste of making movie stuff and music videos and things like that. So, but yeah, that's
definitely, I think that one's probably my favorite so far.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be many more in the future because it never stops.
Let's go back to Surviving the Undead. Now, after we got past the first 2 or 3 episodes, everything then started to go away from the house and started ending up in other locations.
Other people's houses.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it was other people's houses. But at one point, it was like, hey, honey, what are you doing this weekend? We need somebody to run sound.
Yeah. And that I don't like doing that. I do it because, you need somebody to run sound. But yeah, I mean, I don't, to get the end product, I'll do whatever you need me to do. So, I think it worked out. There was a lot of those weekends, but
6 months worth of weekends.
Yeah.
So there's no oh, you mean this Saturday? No, I'm washing my hair that day,
You know what?
Yes, man. I don't ever do that. I'm almost always, unless I'm working, at the bank, I'm there, and will do whatever I can to help make it, make it perfect or make it work. So
make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've done everything from, babe, I can't find anybody to play this principal at the school, or I can't find anybody to do
Misfit.
this. And that is the worst. I hate acting. I don't like doing it. It sucks, but I will if I have to.
Yeah, I fully understand. I'm the same. I hate acting, and I've been sort of roped into doing it at a few occasions, let's say, because there was nobody else, and they needed to keep the production going. I'm like, okay, whatever needs to be done to get this going. Otherwise, it gets held up. Let's do it.
Right.
So I acted.
Yeah.
What's my line again?
Well, and
I did.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't like the acting part of it. I'm super critical of my own self. I'll do anything you need to behind the scenes, but I hate acting part of it.
I have to tell you though, you did well. I actually enjoyed watching you in Misfit.
Misfit, yeah.
The principal.
Yeah, I was the principal in Misfit. I was also the boss in that other show. What was that movie?
Silence.
That we did.
Yeah, she was in Silence.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. That was a while ago. I saw that as well.
Yeah, she well, the school teacher thing was the person that was supposed to play the principal didn't show up. And we only had one day at this school that we could get in.
Right.
And I don't remember if you were there or I called you. But it was literally, I mean, we shot, I think I called her and I said, the person that's supposed to play the principal hasn't shown up. And she goes, okay. I said, can you play the principal?
What do you want from me?
Yeah. What now?
Yeah, I think my response was, fine, I'll do it, but I'm not cooking. So we ordered pizza.
Nice.
Yeah, we ordered.
I like the trade-off.
Yeah, we ordered like $54 worth of $5 pizzas because, I mean, we were feeding. There was like 30 or 40 kids that showed up for this thing.
Worth it.
Yeah. And
totally worth it.
And so
pizza for $5 at home. So
what she agreed to come down, and then she came down, and so she would just run the lines with the actors that she was in the scenes with beforehand, and if she forgot something or whatever, we did as many takes as we could do to be able to get what we needed. And she did an awesome job. I think the first thing we shot was the walking with Sean outside, when her and the detective were having a conversation. And that sucked because she had to walk and talk at the same time.
And it was cold.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. It was like 30 degrees. And
it was really.
And then, and then after that, we just, we finally, we got what we needed outside, and then had to jump and go inside. And then that's when she had to, the next thing we did was when she had to break up the fight. And, God, I don't even know how many takes we did on that, because she would go in, wait a minute, stop, shit, you should. Literally the outtakes, I might even put those in the show. But she was like, hey, wait a minute, get out of the way. And she literally goes, hey, get out of the way. Shit. And I said, all right, everybody back to one, go again. Let's go right away. Because again, we only had, this much time. And so, I mean, I've been blessed with having somebody like Angie that she just says, you know what? Okay. All right, I'll do it. What do you need? What do you need? I mean, what makes you do that? Outside of saying, I love you and I want to make sure that you get, I mean, what is it that drives you to continue to tolerate this shit and that you continue to, whenever you're doing something, whenever you're having to pick up sound equipment or do the slate or make the food, I mean, what is it that drives you, to just continue to, be a part of this madness?
Well, I mean, what else would I be doing? I mean, I can't imagine not helping you, because we're a team, and so that's just what a team does. I feel that way. I'm a helper, and I help those around me as much as I can, and whether it be my kids or my coworkers, and you, I mean, if that's what you need to get the job done, then let's get it done. I don't want to not help, because I know that the outcome won't be as good as if I just jump in and just get it done. I mean, I can't imagine not helping you. I mean, again, it's not my passion; it's your passion.
Right.
But as husband and wife, that's just what we do. You help me, I help you, kind of a thing. I
Yeah.
guess that's really what it's all about. We help each other. You help me, I help you. Just what you do.
And that's awesome. And I don't think you even know how important that is, to Todd or to just anyone in this position to have that kind of support. It's massive.
Well, I think that I think I do, because I see other wives or other girlfriends that are in this industry, and where they don't help, and I feel bad for that director or that actor or whatever that doesn't have that team, that support. I mean, the support is like, I don't know, I guess you just take that on when you get married. You just support each other. And I'm a firm believer in that. So,
I
you
I agree. It just doesn't happen all the time. I've seen people, I've seen couples where it does and some where it doesn't. So yeah.
mm-hmm.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's always been amazing to me to watch my wife jump in to do these things. And there are other people that I know and that I've worked with that, they're getting phone calls. How much longer are you going to be? You're only like 4 hours into it and you're looking at a 14-hour day. And they're calling and wanting to know how much longer you're going to be, or calling then every other hour. And, the guys or women have to walk off to go and have a conversation with somebody who doesn't give a flying rat's ass what you're doing, or doesn't have any consideration for anybody else except, when are you coming home? Why do you have to be gone that long? I mean, we've had something like that on almost every film, where you've got somebody who just flat out does not support the actor,
Right.
or the sound guy or any of this stuff, that you just get them hounding. I mean, when we did The Confession, we had an actor's significant other that bitched for 3 hours, and she's lucky I didn't hear it, because if I would have heard it, I would have told her to leave.
Well, and she was on, which didn't help matters any.
What's
I mean,
that?
it's one. She was on set as well, and that doesn't help matters any.
No.
It's one thing with text messages, you can ignore the text message, but when she's on set with her hands on her hips, going, how much longer are you going to be? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Well, and that that right there is literally, I mean, when you've got somebody who doesn't support you, it's, and when I see that, I'm like, how can you not? I guess I've just never understood, even if you don't like it, and right. I'm going to say this to all you people out there who have wives or husbands that do this, and you don't support them. How can you not support somebody that does what we do, whether you're an actor or an actress or a director or an editor or anything? How can you not support somebody with something that they love to do? I don't know. Is it selfishness?
Most likely.
Yeah. I just get really, really upset, with when I see that. When I see the guys that are getting phone calls wanting to know how much longer he's going to be when he's only been doing that for 4 hours, or we've been shooting, how come your movies don't take as long as this? You know, that was one of the things that we were getting when we were shooting The Confession. You know,
I think for a lot of people, they don't even understand how important like their support would be, you know, if it was there. It's not even just in the arts, it's with anything else. I remember actually my mom was a banker as well. She used to work in a bank, and like whenever they'd have some kind of work functions, my dad would never want to go with her. And my mom always really wanted him to go because all the other people, you know, came with their significant others, and it was in some ways maybe important, you know, as far as advancing, you know, within a company or whatever it is, in this case, a bank. But, and people just don't get it. It's like, support your significant other no matter what they do, because, you know, they need that support. And when you don't, you just make it harder for them rather than making it easier. But the fact of the matter is, your situation, you know, the way, Angie, the way you support Todd, it's more rare than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a shame, but it is what it is.
Well, he's just really a very lucky little bastard, I guess. I don't know. He's very, very lucky.
He's extremely lucky. He's extremely lucky that he's got you and that he's got other friends supporting, because friend support isn't the whole other issue. And that's also, you know, extremely rare. A lot of the times I've seen, you know, not only, let's say in my case, my friends are not very supportive in general. I have a couple of friends who do support, but not much more than that. But friends, or so-called friends, I've seen for other people where they actually try to go out of their way to sabotage, which is even worse, you know, like, don't help, stay away. But why are you trying to sabotage, you know? And it's like, I just don't get it. But people are people.
Yeah.
Really comes down to that.
Well, I just really, yeah, I'm a lucky bastard because I don't know anybody else that gets this kind of support. You know, I mean, there's a couple of guys that work with us that are their wives are like, yes, please get out of the house. Go away, come home when the lights come on, you know. And you know, and that's cool. That's cool, you know. It's like, oh, hey, Todd's making a movie, get the fuck out of here. Go just so, you know, I'm just you know, super lucky, you know, beyond lucky that, you know,
blessed.
Blessed. Yes, very much so, that, you know, Mama Angie drops what she's doing. Oh, you need an actor? Okay, fine. I hate it, but I'll do it. Oh, you need a sound person? I hate it. Or not. Actually, no, I think the crew thing you kind of enjoy.
I don't mind the crew. It's just the in front of the camera stuff that I don't like.
Yeah.
That's a gig.
Yeah. So,
but
go ahead.
I just had a question sort of on my mind from the beginning, but in some cases, I think, Angie, you've gotten involved a little bit on the creative side as well, like whether it's developing stories or even in the actual scripts. You want to tell us more about that?
Sure. Yeah, I have done a little bit more. I mean, Todd will bring stuff to me and ask questions, and what do I think of this, and what do I think of that, and
feedback. Yeah.
Back to where we support each other, and so, I mean, he's interested in my thought process and wants to know what I really do think, instead of just humoring me. And I think that's really, really cool. I enjoy being able to be creative with him on certain things. There are, you know, there's a couple of films that we've thought about, that I would like to see happen at some point. There was a ghost story one that we talked a lot about. And then there was the confession. There was like a confession, like a second confession, kind of what
Yeah.
happens after the on that. And I helped kind of, do a quick outline on that. Um, the psychotic breakdown, that was kind of my help with kind of how do we merge these three films together. So I helped him kind of develop that. And I don't necessarily write anything, but I give him the ideas, and then he takes off and runs with it. The one that I'm really most interested in is On a Blue Day. That kind of came out, with some things that happened with my own kids, and dealing with a kid that struggled and had definite, like, special, not necessarily special needs, but needs that weren't being met, and how as a parent you kind of cope with that. And so I'm excited about that, kind of bringing that one together, because I think that's going to be really just a really cool idea. I really, that kind of was my one that I really want to see happen, just because it sort of kind of plays in a little bit loosely and ties in with my own past experiences. So I enjoy doing that. I think that's kind of a lot of fun. And Todd and I are really good about, sitting down and we talk. I think many families or many couples don't talk anymore. I think they're so used to, just kind of sludging through life. And, Todd and I really, yeah, they exist. And Todd and I really work hard at, one of my favorite times is when we, leave our phones in the house and we go sit in the hot tub for a couple hours, and, we get a lot of talking done, and the nicest part is that it is just he and I, and we don't have the computer or the phone, because, when we do have the phones, one of us is always on it. And that, it's nice to be able to do that. And so we run past a lot of thoughts and ideas and what ifs, and can we make this happen, and what do you think about that kind of thing, as when we're sitting in the hot tub, and just he and I just sitting and talking. Because I don't think people do that as often as they should.
Well, it's hugely important because you get more involved in projects, you feel more you're part of the project, which means you'd be definitely more likely to, get involved in the actual production, and, when things are done, and help out, and actually not only like feel like you're a part of it, you will actually, really be a big part of it. So I think that's important. Any couples who can work together, even though the real passion is just for one of them, still, making that happen together is when you can look back later and say, look how many films we've done, and
Right.
how everything is unfolded. It's fantastic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, were you involved when in the first incarnation of Silence, when it was the short film?
No.
Okay.
No, that was with one of the other.
I wasn't sure when it was done. I only recently saw that one, and it just, when you were talking about Me, a Rapist, it made me think about that, because it's
Well,
not
I think
similar, but
back on each other. I think Me, a Rapist definitely was a factor in with Silence, the original Silence, the short film. But no, that was with his other wife that he had before me, for a very
it's
brief moment.
yeah. No, it's actually a cool little short, but seeing um, how far apart the short is from the feature as far as the actual subject matter, It kind of
Right.
made me think about that. I actually thought that you were not involved with the original, and you were involved with the feature.
Yeah, I was involved with
I,
the feature.
I don't even know if to say like a woman's touch, but something changed in the approach to the story, and I like both of them, but it's very very different.
Different for sure. Yeah, there was a lot we did behind the scenes on the feature length. I was involved a lot with that one. There was a lot of passion in that film. It again was also a hard film to do,
Sure.
because the subject matter was a hard subject matter. Anybody that's ever has been a survivor, I mean, that's obviously it's going to bring back some trauma memory kind of thing, but it just definitely it was filmed amazing. The editing work that was done on that Todd did on that was really pretty amazing, and it definitely was definitely a challenge, but it was a good challenge to be able to keep it and not to be able to put that kind of a spin on it as opposed to victim, victim, victim. It was, yes, you're a victim, but you're also a survivor, so get out and survive. um you know and that it was really pretty, it was an amazing film to work on. It was a hard film, but it was also really good. The night that we filmed the big scene, where Caitlin was injured and raped, and beaten so badly, the actors, the other girl actors that were her friends, they didn't see Caitlin at all that day, and didn't know what they were walking into when we shot that, and so their reaction was their like legitimate reaction from you know from when they rolled up and opened the door and found Caitlin on the floor. That was their legitimate reaction. They were so shocked because the makeup was so heavy, and I mean the scene itself. I mean, there wasn't a dry eye, I don't think, in the entire room when we filmed that, because it was just so traumatic. It was just such an experience to be on that set. Um, I even had my own daughters, Jordan and Taylor, I think both were there,
Mhm.
and Brianne. I mean, kind of, we all just kind of sat back, and none of us had a dry eye because it was just so. It was acted so well, and I think that stemmed from Todd making sure that the actors didn't see and had no clue as to what they were walking in on, because it was very impactful.
Yeah, that was, I just remember turning around after I said cut, because I mean, we had 7 cameras rolling on that. And I remember turning around after I was done, and it was, there were 15 people in the house between cast and crew. Um, and there was silent.
It was nobody was breathing. I mean, we literally all held our breath through that whole scene, and that I kind of felt like that's what passion in this filming industry is about. To be able to make a scene work like that.
Mm.
I mean, literally, none of us spoke for a good 30 seconds after Todd hollered cut, because there was just, we were all in kind of shock, um, including the 3 girls that walked in on what they walked in on. I mean, those tears were actual tears. That was not made up. That was not pushed. That was actual tears that they were, because it was just so traumatic.
Yeah, it's almost like that scene, or the way it went. All that you're describing is really almost a reflection of the subject matter of the film itself. Todd, you just said, and then it was silence.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the film is really about, something happens to Caitlin, Elizabeth, yeah. And what it took out of her must have been like a really like emotionally tough to play that role. And then you're talking about how the other girls, Brie and the rest of them, reacted to seeing her that way, was a real reaction, which is almost what the film is about. How this event affects not only the victim, but also their friends and family and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was. And what's funny is that one we made that movie for $800. that one was done for $800, and I think we spent most of it on food, just because the amount of cast and crew that we had, and everybody worked for free.
So this is like your most profitable film to date.
Yeah. Well, I think Misfit has probably made quite a bit more money. I think we made back the.
But you spent more on it.
Oh well, yeah, we spent what $3,500, I think, on Misfit, and a whole $3,500. Yeah, compared to 16,000, yeah. But yeah, I mean that one when it was done, I mean that was a tough one. That was a tough one. That's why we kind of shot most of the. I tried to shoot a lot of the precursor, all of the the first and part of the second act before before we got into the deep stuff, and then once we got to that, then everything was a downhill slide, and in regards to the movie as well. So and the thing that was nice about that is because everybody hung out. I know we talked about that when we had Brie on the show, but they had hung out for 2 or 3 months beforehand as friends. They started off as cast members and as their characters, but then it developed into friendships. And so yeah, I just remember turning around and looking at Angie and Brienne, and they were literally, like huddled together and crying, trying. Everybody's got these tears in their eyes and everything, and everybody's trying to keep from, I can't make any noise, but I'm gonna cry, and so yeah, it was kind of one of those things. And then after, when everybody finally started breathing again, everybody was it was like kind of a slow applause for the cast members, and it was literally kind of, and then I think Angie was one of the first ones that went, "Oh my God, yes," So, so yeah, I'm just lucky as one of the luckiest SOBs on the planet, to have that amazing.
No argument there.
Well, I'm pretty lucky too. I mean, I was a single mom. I had been married for 17 years, but I was a single wife for the majority of that. And
tell them what you mean by single wife, because I don't know that everybody out there will understand that.
My ex-husband was an over-the-road truck driver, and so he was done, 6 week home for 2 days and then be gone again for another 6 weeks. So, I raised the girls pretty much on my own for, 16 of those 17 years. So, and so when I came into this crazy world, of the Todd Braley world, it was definitely, I've done things that I would have absolutely never, ever, ever in a majillion years have done. And, I'm lucky too, in that I'm not a stay-at-home mom with, crazy cats all around me. And so I am fortunate that he's gotten me out from underneath my rock. I still like to cave, and I don't like to leave the house, and I still like to do that. But I do. He gets me involved in things that I would have never dreamed in a million years that I would be involved in. So
Well,
that's pretty fortunate too.
with you being a banker, I'm just wondering how long it'll be before you're going to drop that heist script on Todd's desk.
I have to be very cautious because a lot of my bosses know that my husband is a filmmaker, so they watch closely and make sure that I don't do anything too crazy or give away too many secrets, banking secrets. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
We've done
Go ahead.
we've done a few things, as banking. He'll ask me questions on, hey, can I do this? And can this person do this in the banking industry? Or I think it was one of your movies that you shot. It was Silence, where John had to go get a loan for
Oh yeah,
Caitlin's movie, so but
yeah. So I had to. Yeah, I think she's even in the credits as a technical advisor, but it was, yeah, I'd say, okay, John wants to get this character. I need the dad to go into the bank and get a loan. Can you get a medical loan? Is that something that's even a thing? Because if it's not a thing, I don't want to like do it and then have somebody go, you can't do that, because there's always that one troll that says. But as it turns out,
You can.
yeah,
And that was the extent of your research.
that was it. That's all I asked.
Yeah, honey, can you do this? Yes, done.
well, I did ask what was involved, and unfortunately, due to time constraints and stuff within the location that we were at, there was some of that stuff that was in the script that we had to skip over because we just didn't, we had, this much time in the location. And so I kind of had to skip through it or skip over it. But
in the bank, so that was good.
What's that?
You didn't film in our bank, so that was good.
Yeah, no, I would kind of
yet.
Oh, we'll have to do all that long. That was over.
Yeah, I'm not even allowed to ask that one, so I just have to. Yeah. No,
secured, so he has to have like certain tokens to get into the bank.
So before we wrap up, what would you say as the wife of a filmmaker or an indie filmmaker? I think it's probably different for indie filmmakers than it is for guys that make a lot of money and make movies. What would you say to those significant others that that maybe they're not exactly
supportive?
Yeah. What would you say to those who maybe aren't as supportive, or if supportive at all? I mean, as my other half.
I think, more than anything is get involved. I mean, I think if nothing else, I mean, obviously you're with that person for a reason. Share their interest. Get involved. If nothing else, sit back and watch and share in a little bit of their passion. I mean, if even if you do it like I do, I mean, if I feel like it, I do it. If I don't, I don't. And Todd is totally okay with that. But I think, try to open up to it, because I think it's you'll get a lot out of it, and you'll start to understand their mind a little bit more. And I think, if you're going to be the significant other in anything, whether he's a truck driver or he's a mechanic or he's, a chef, you have to share in part of that. And so I think if nothing else, try really hard to at least visit it and see what it's about and become more active in it. I think you'll be really surprised that, you'll kind of change your thought process on it. I mean, I know I did. It was kind of one of those things you either, join in, or you're going to kind of sit at home and be alone, because, I mean, that's basically what happens. So
Yeah, and it brings you closer together. So, it's good for your relationship, and it goes both ways,
It does. I mean, Todd, he doesn't understand banking, and he certainly isn't going to be able to come in and do what I do, but he listens to me, and he's interested in it, and
We're indie filmmakers. We know nothing about money.
I know that. I think that's the other thing.
We only know how to spend it on movies. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I like budgets and spreadsheets. That's my game. So
It's an important part. It's a very important part of filmmaking, definitely.
Definitely. But yeah, getting involved, try it, step out of your comfort zone a little bit, and, you don't have to jump in with both feet, but you do have to try. I think that's just super important.
Test the water, right?
Exactly. I mean, and you don't even have to like it. There's some days where I just don't like it, and that's okay. But at least, try, jump in and see what happens. You'll be surprised, I think. If you like to watch a movie, why not like watching it being made?
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a peek behind the curtain, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. And there's a lot involved. A lot.
Yeah.
Way
Absolutely.
like
Well, so it looks like we've come to the end of our conversation with my amazing partner, wife, actress, caterer, sound person, camera person, the amazing Angie Braley. So would like to thank you very, very much for sitting down with us for these last couple hours and talking about being with me. So
this guy.
and so yeah, we're not going to let everybody. We usually ask our guests at the end to say, hey, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, but nobody out there is allowed to have my wife. She only works on my productions. So
she only works for me.
She only works for me. Now, I'm sure if somebody wanted to pay her a lot to come out and do something, she'd probably jump on it. But anyway, so
the offers can come through you. That's fine.
Yeah. They gotta filter through me. So it's if people want to get a hold of us, how do they do that?
They get on their computer and they press all these buttons and stuff comes up. And they can find us on Facebook, the Straight Shooters page. They can find us through Mindy Productions, mindyproductions.com. They can find us on Instagram, which Todd is doing great with. And we're all over the place. And of course, the email address is, I think, above my head still.
Yep,
if you want to contact us, just hit us up. We're usually pretty okay with getting back to people. unless it goes into our spam folders, and then it takes time. But yeah. But I also wanted to say thank you, Angie, for doing this. It's been a lot of fun. Getting to know Angie Braley, otherwise known as Honey, throughout this episode.
Or Mama Angie.
Yeah, that one too. I think you should change that to the Godmother.
There you go.
Since Todd is such a massive fan of The Godfather, it works.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Sure.
Yep. She'll make you an offer you can't refuse, or she'll make you salsa chicken you can't refuse.
Or if she makes you an offer, you better take it, and that's
you better take it. Yeah, there's no refusing. There's no refusing. So thanks for hanging out with us, my love, and I appreciate you very much. And we appreciate all of you out there watching the Straight Shooters show. So don't forget, like, share, comment, subscribe, like, share, comment, subscribe, like, share, comment, subscribe. So give us a shout out at our email address. If you've got any thoughts that you want to do something on our show, just let us know. And we're going to have more of these because we have other filmmakers, significant others that we're going to approach. And so watch for more of the Straight Shooters, the other half, coming up here soon. So thanks again for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks again for watching. Hasta. Good night.
Bye. Thanks, guys.